All right, what's up, guys? It's Nick. You guys know me as American Duramax, Scovel Motorsports. We got our new wheel spacer lineup that is somewhat constantly evolving. I want to say it's going to stay the same, but who knows, right? This is what we have for our lineup, and we've had for quite a long time now, at least over a year. We've made some small changes to the slip-on spacers that I'm super excited about going forward. Keep in mind when I'm shooting this video, right? This is like mid-March, I believe. Don't have my phone on me, of 2025. So, I want to go over the sizes we have, and I'll explain why we have the sizes that we do. This is our .375. This is also known as our 3/8 or a 10mm spacer. Super common slip-on spacer. This is our Gen 2. So I'll explain what our second generation of these spacers is. It's nothing complicated, but it's a marking that's important. We got our .65s. These things lately, I cannot keep enough in stock. 1.4 inch. This replaced our 1.35. Just needed a smidge more. I'll explain why later. 1.65. Did not see this in our last video, just like the .65. This 1.65 is something that we decided to bring to the lineup. Our 1.85, something also you did not see in the last video a couple years ago, probably now that I've shot that video, but our 1.85 was not there. We do carry that size now. I'll explain what's up with this one and also. And then 2-inch wheel spacers. Wow, I mean, that's the most common size you see. I got a ton of those in stock, right? It's kind of bugging me, but I'll show you because it's been a mess in the shop. We're doing some stuff, moving some stuff around, but behind all of this trash, this is just, I have a ton more actually. Well, you can see there's a whole wrapped pallet there. Yep, that's more BORA boxes and another pallet here. That's kryptonite. I have a bunch of more pallets that you're not going to see here, but this is just 2-inch. And I think that entire pallet is 2-inch and .65 spacers. So we always have them coming in. That's why it's important for you guys to know. There's usually never a wait time. I put that on the website, but that's a big deal because a lot of you guys run into these issues and you don't have the spacers and you need them now. The thing I'm working on that we haven't done the best of is trying to, because I can't really do a flat rate on it, but I need to give you more options at the checkout rather than just a flat rate. So we're working on that, but we don't have that as of today. So shouldn't be too complicated, but I'm going to do something where I can get you some next day error options and stuff like that. Anyways, that's my spacer lineup that we currently have today. It's going to make up of these 6 spacers. We do carry 2-inch in the dually spacers. We carry a ton of other spacers. I mean, heck, this is not where I wanted these to sit, but we have .65s that we'll carry, show off in another video for the 6 on 5.5 for the 6 point. So it'd also be a 6 by 139.7, and that's for the Chevy 1500. Those .65s, they're gonna take off. Wait till you get another couple people on those on their trucks for the OEM wheel applications. And then the .375s. I can't talk. I also am too deep into this video right now to refilm it. But anyways, I also have the 3/8, 10mm, .375s. So we stock the heck out of those too. I got stuff for all Ford, Dodge. I got it for John Deere tractors here. So yeah, if you guys need it, we'll get it for you really fast. So this is our lineup. Let's talk about the spacers here. We're going to talk about the bigger ET lug nuts that we offer with these slip-on spacers. So let's check it out. .375 spacers. I got these here. We got our Gen 2s right here. These have the bigger hole that we have now for our new Gen 2 lug nuts. You'll see our Gen 2 lug nut here sitting next to your OEM lug nut and sitting next to the current 19mm ET lug nut we have now, right? These are still going to be in stock. We're still going to keep these for the guys that are running these spacers with aftermarket wheels because that's what you're going to need. That's what's appropriate. And then these are going to be for the OEM wheels. You could still run these on OEM wheels, which you guys have already been doing up until this point safely. It's fine. You'll notice that that coned area is very, very similar. So it's going to work great. You can see the cone that they have right here. The mating surface isn't, you know, it's already up to that flat point. It's kind of not the same. You can see where it's all scratched up on that black part. And then when it starts to flatten out here, this isn't even mating up to the wheel at all. These are heat treated, and there's a lot thicker ET wall in here. We never had issues with this at all. You really are not going to have issues with this at all whatsoever. Same thing, all three of these, 140 foot-pounds on these new GM trucks for the 80180 bolt pattern. Yeah, but that's the reason we went to a Gen 2. So look for these Gen 2s. If you have Gen 2s, you'll be able to get these. We're going to put them on the website as optional pretty soon. But we want to roll out all of the Gen 1s first and make sure those are completely gone for a little while. And then you guys can buy either one of these later. These other ones here, you'll see that fit perfectly in our Gen 2s. They won't fit in the Gen 1s at all. They'll bottom out. So sorry guys that have already purchased them that way. Again, it's safe. It's not a big deal at all. But you'll see why we chased this bigger size, right? So we had guys that said, hey, Nick, look it, I have an OEM wheel here and it has such a big opening for the lug nut, and I have a smaller headed lug nut in there. So some of those guys, and I understand that it has a look to it. But yeah, I mean, we wanted to come up with a bigger head on it, right? So I have a Gen 1 3/8 spacer in here, and then I have our black 19mm ET lug nuts. And then you jump over to this on this side of the truck, on the back. These are the standard lug nuts, and these are going to look identical to our Gen 2s. And yeah, that's what I wanted to show you guys, is that's the difference. And this looks a little bit more filled in. Our Gen 2 lug nuts are just going to be a little shinier, and they're going to sit maybe inward just a hair. Nothing that's going to really be measurable. But, you know, if you're taking a look, if you bought just a pair of 3/8 spacers, 0.65s, and you had the chrome ET lug nuts, our new Gen 2 lug nuts, the 22mm head, and you stood back, it's going to match with the rear where it didn't before. So I thought that was critical to do it. And if I haven't said this already, because I've done like 20 takes already by now, trying to make this video as short as possible because I like to ramble, you can't buy those lug nuts anywhere. Those new Gen 2s that we made, we ordered 50,000 of them, custom made, and all the specs of them, the reason they look the way they do is you're looking at it right here. I spent a lot of time, a lot of pride in them. I know they're just lug nuts, but my gosh, for 3/8 and the 0.65s, there's nothing on the market. There's no reason at this point that you don't get the ET lug nuts when you guys get those spacers. It's only better, safer, stronger. I highly recommend those, big time. I spent a lot of time to make those perfect for these trucks and this application. So here's the little board. You know, I was talking right now, you guys are probably looking at it like, Nick, what is this? Well, for me to stay on point and get through this super fast, I felt like, hey, look at the board, don't look at my face. Let's get to the nitty gritty of what does and doesn't fit, right? So what's the smallest spacer I can run? This is why I have the sizes that I have here, and that's why there's so many of those other adapters in those 4 of them that are sitting there. That's because of this. And I'll explain that part next, but this is for the slip-on spacers. For 2011 to 2019, more specifically 15 to 19, because we've done a lot more research with those trucks. If you do a leveling kit and like a 35-1250, it doesn't really matter what kind of leveling kit. If you have upper control arms in your leveling kit, that's just where we're going to talk about the clearance of the upper control arm. Most of these tires that we're going to be listing, most of them will clear the upper control arm, a factory one. Most of them will clear that with no spacer at all. But the second you get an aftermarket upper control arm in a leveling kit, you're going to start running into issues. But it really doesn't matter, because when you jump into a leveling kit that doesn't have an upper control arm, you're still going to rub the frame and the sway bar anyways. So you're still going to have rubbing issues, even though you're able to still drive straight down the road, right? So if you decided I want a 3/8 spacer for my 11 to 19 truck with a 35-1250, 3/8, and you have a level on your truck, you have 35-1250 sitting at home ready to go on. It's going to clear your upper control arm, but not your frame and sway bar. That's what I've found, right? This is like 99% true. There's a lot of different variances to tires that are out there. You'll find that a lot of 35-1250s don't actually measure 35. Go to Toyo, Nitto, BFG's website, and they're going to be like 34.5, 34.6. There's a lot of variables there. But there's going to be, for the most part, this is going to be true, okay? And I've done and fitted these a lot of times. So 0.65s on these year trucks, it'll clear the upper control arm, frame, and sway bar. So if you said, I want to get a Cognito Kryptonite leveling kit or some other brand leveling kit that we offer, there's a lot of great ones, just not the BDS coilover conversions. That does not apply to any of this. Those need more room. They need more room than all of this. If you do a level, so let's give an example. Cognito Kryptonite leveling kit, 35 1250s, you purchase those. That leveling kit, Nick, you need at least a pair of these up front or a set of 4 to match in the rear. And you could do 0.65s in the front, 3/8 in the rear if you want to. The more that you lift the truck up, the more that the front track width is going to get sucked in on a leveling kit on the truck, right? So most guys do the same size all 4 corners. Some of you guys will go bigger in the front and narrower in the rear. That's okay. So 0.65s at least in the front, upper control arm, frame, sway bar. Okay, 2020 plus trucks, we're going to cover the 4 most common tire sizes, and there's metric sizes and all that, but you're going to have to try and get as close as you can to these sizes for that information to be true. I don't have all the metric sizes and I can't cover those all in this video. But 3/8. So if you do a leveling kit, a lot of guys will do like a Kryptonite leveling kit. It's probably the most common, and a 35 1250. They'll do a 3/8 wheel spacer. It'll clear the UCA, frame, and sway bar. So most generally, I'll get a Kryptonite leveling kit, pair of 3/8 spacers, and these guys can run 35s and they're off running. Kryptonite's really popular to fit 35s because you don't have to cut the little service perch on the frame, and that leveling kit's excellent, so that's great. This is probably the biggest one I get the questions on right here. 37 1250s. You can run a 3/8 and you can clear the UCA, the upper control arm, but you're not going to clear the frame or the sway bar when you do that. You could do 0.65s and that's going to clear the upper control arm, frame, and sway bar. This here, I mean, I should just write it. This one doesn't work at all. Okay. This is like became our #1 seller right here because of that reason. I'll literally get guys every day. They did a Cognito leveling kit because they want to get up to 3 inches, 37 1250s. And Nick, what do I need to clear this on the Cognito leveling kit? I got a 2020 to 2025 truck. This is pretty much any of them. High Country, LT model, the Sierra, Denali, everything. It doesn't matter what the trim level is. That's what it's going to be. AT4. We don't have the AT4X stuff kind of figured out, but this kind of falls in line still with the AT4X or the ZR2 trucks. But this also, same thing for the Trail Boss. Trail Boss came out in 2025. Not a lot of guys know about it, but it's not lifted like the 1500 trucks. The 2500 and 30, or I think it's only in a 2500 Trail Boss is the same thing. 0.65s. Leveling kit, 37 1250s. Okay, so that's what most of you guys have come to us for. Every 0.65 spacer will come with ET lug nuts. They must. They're optional on the 3/8. You can run your standard lug nuts or ETs. These have to come with ET lug nuts, and they will come when you purchase them from us. They come with those. So they're like, hey, well, what I want to run a 37 1350. Well, the 0.65s, they'll clear the upper control arm, and most guys are fine with it. It'll barely rub the frame and sway bar. Barely. But it's still going to. So at that point, we'll jump into our 1.35s, which are also called, now we're gravitating towards calling them the 1.4 inch. That right there is what's going to be the ticket for a 37 1350. It's almost hidden in the name. You bring the decimal over, 1.35. We'll fix and fit that. Okay. You may have to trim your wheel studs, but a 1.35 will clear upper control arm, sway bar, and frame. And then 3/8 or no spacer at all will fit a 37 1150. There's some of those tires out there, mainly on an 18 or a 20 inch. Nitto Ridge Grapplers. They're kind of hard to get, but I've seen a lot of those out there. And those are going to clear the upper control arm, but not the frame and the sway bar. You're still going to have that big tall tire that still needs to steer or to churn. So again, 0.65s would still be your answer to clear the upper control arm, frame and sway bar. So that's the stuff I wanted to cover. And I wanted to make it visual for you guys and put it behind me in this video. And also I've put the video or the camera up against this several times so you guys can stop it at any point and say, hey Nick, well, what does and doesn't fit? So that should cover a lot of that stuff, right? And then we started to talk about the 1.35s. So let's stop the video for a second And I'm going to jump over to that and start to tell you guys about those and what you'd want to do and what sizes fit. All right, guys. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go behind me right now. This truck, this is my truck. It has a Cognito 4-inch. It has stock OEM 20-inch wheels. Okay, you can stand here and look for fitment. It has 3/8 wheel spacers. So it's got these guys. Look at it and look at my truck, dude. It's so small. 37 1250s. And these are Nitto Ridge grapplers. They don't stick out at all. When you do 0.65s, even on a leveling kit, it doesn't really stick out at all. So the reason I'm telling you guys this, that those spacers, when you jump over to like, say, even a 2-inch, that's the biggest spacer we currently offer. And it just gives it a nice little stance. I think those are more popular, the bigger sizes on these trucks when you start to go into the bigger lift kits. But this has a 3/8 spacer. This is your little bit of a visual of what that looks like, okay? So I'm gonna go pull one of those wheels and tires off so that way we can start to talk about why you would go with each one of these. All right, guys, I hope you can kind of see. So let's check it out here, right? We're gonna jump over to these slip-on spacers a little bit real quick again. So see how there's this hub-centric ring here? So right there is where the wheel is going to want to mate up to. It's going to help it keep it centered. The reason being, if you can picture doing this without this, if you had a spacer on here with none of this hub-centric ring here built in, it wouldn't be able to rest on that anymore. So we take it a step further. We make these nice and solid and tight, and there's just enough room in here to fit the ET lug nuts in there. That's why you're not getting any wheel vibration or having any issues or problems with these. So that's just something to keep in mind. These are going to help a ton. So that's why we do these hub-centric. You can't make these hub-centric in a 1/4 inch. You need to do at least 3/8. That's the smallest size that we offer. If you don't run these and you run like a 17-inch wheel with the high offset, your tire is going to hit your tie rod. Tried to see if I could get it to fit and it didn't. So we have some here, so I'm going to set these off the truck. But let's talk about something here, right? So let's get our 1.4-inch spacer, okay? And something that you guys have seen in the first video but need to understand. Our 1.4-inch, the reason we came out with this is you can see here that this doesn't allow, this isn't flush, right? So if the wheel is sitting up against this, this is still sticking out. So if the wheel is hitting this part and it's sitting up against this and it has what we're going to talk about, wheel pockets, if it has no wheel pockets, it's not going to sit flush against this. It's going to sit against this. It's not going to sit flush against here. And it's not going to sit on this hub-centric ring. You're going to get a lot of vibration. You're going to possibly break some studs off. So a 1.4-inch spacer needs wheel pockets. So these are your wheel pockets here. These need to be a 1/2 inch deep or more. So you need to take measurement of this here. You can find a measuring tool even like, Snap-on's got them, but you can go to Harbor Freight and they have some of those measuring devices that allow you to go inward and measure in, or if you're good enough with a tape measure, you can get a good idea. Most generally, these come in either none. You'll see that you'll have none of them on there. Some of the 2015 5-star wheels, they had no pockets at all. These are 1/4 inch pockets. And then you can also find some that are going to be 1/2 inch deep pockets. They're going to be a little deeper than this. So you need to measure your pocket depth to decide if you don't have to trim these. So the reason why we don't have a spacer that is smaller than this, like a 1 inch, and we may think about doing this in the future for some of you guys that just don't care to trim. But the reason that we do that is that you see the part that's sticking out? We're nice and close to here. That's the part you would trim off. This whole portion here that's threaded up until my fingernail, that's 1.25 inches. 1.25. So you're going to be trimming this excess part that's basically smooth. It just has a little portion on here that almost looks like it's stripped off. And that's to help guide your lug nut on there, especially if guys are using impact guns or something like that. You can get a cutoff wheel, go to where I'm talking about my fingernails at, where that is completely useless anyways, and trim that off. If we had offered 1-inch spacers, you would be cutting off a 1/4 inch of the actual threaded portion of this. And that's okay, but if you want to go back to stock and remove this, you have all of the threaded portion that's actually doing something anyways. So yes, you can get new studs, right? Like nothing's irreversible, but if you're going to cut off that 1/2 inch portion, that's how long it is, it's a 1/2 inch, and trim all that off, now you're left with 1 1/4 inches, so 1.25 of threaded area. Now, once you've trimmed the tips off, which are no big deal, they don't do anything structurally, now you can slide on our 1.4 inch spacer, and you can run anything. You can run any wheel that you want to. Doesn't matter if it's OEM, aftermarket, you can run any wheel that you want. And I think you guys just need to understand that. Those have to be possibly trimmed with 2 spacer sizes that we offer, okay? So Nick, is there any trimming involved? I don't want to trim my studs. You don't want to trim your studs? Measure. I don't want to measure. Well, if you don't want to measure and you don't want to trim your studs, my 1.4 and my 1.65, these two are not for you. So I wouldn't even look at those. They're possibly gonna require trimming depending on that wheel pocket. If that wheel pocket doesn't have the relief, if it doesn't have that area so that way that wheel can sit flush against the spacer, well then, I don't know what to tell you. So why we have these 3 sizes here. We have my 1.4, that's gonna need a 1/2 inch wheel pocket. My 1.65 is gonna need a 1/4 inch wheel pocket or deeper. And this 1.85, one we don't sell a ton of, this doesn't need any wheel pocket at all. And that is because we literally made this size to match the wheel studs on the front and rear. So the rear is a smidge, like barely a smidge longer than the front. Sitting at about 1.85 in the front. Oops. So see how that completely clears? It's because the front is about 1.75 and the rear sitting at about 1.85 on this truck. So this is going to clear all of that. But that's why that 1.85 came out, is for the guys that said, what is the smallest spacer I can run without trimming my wheel studs? Technically, it's a 1.85. In the front, it could be 1.75. But, I mean, dude, you guys see how close these are on the table in terms of height? I can't add another size there. But 1.85 made sense because the guys that are buying those, all of you guys that are buying those, are usually buying a set of 4. If you were buying just a pair for the front, then 1.75 would clear the front. But 1.85, that's what you need to do all 4. The other option, 2 inch. 2 inch is plenty. I mean, it's so close. I mean, guys, look at the height difference. You can barely even tell. Barely tell at all. So, why is that even necessary? I think I've had a few people ask me, why did you even come up with the size if it's so close to this? It's to give you guys that answer. And honestly, to get past that mental barrier of jumping to a 2 inch, right? If you want me to be completely transparent, I've had a lot of guys, I wouldn't say a lot, they're like, I don't want to go all the way to 2 inch. 2 inch is not a big spacer. It only seems big, and especially because of what I'm doing and offering so many sizes, that from 3/8 to 2 inch, you're like, oh my God, I'm going all the way to the top. Well, honestly, most people are only offering 3/8 and 2 inch. That was just the 2 sizes that are the most common. Either you needed a little bit or you did a lot. So that's why that's there, right? And the reason we don't have a size in between here, like I just said, is you would have to trim off so much of your OEM wheel stud and start to cut off the part that's actually threaded, that it's like, I don't really want that for you guys. So we'll do those on custom orders. I need maybe between 2 and 3 weeks, 2 and 4 weeks. I can get you a 1 inch spacer. I can get you a 0.9 inch spacer, 1.1, 1 1/4, whatever you want. I can get those made for you. I can get them fast. But I just don't recommend it, and it's really not a big deal, right? There's not a solution that's gonna solve. Maybe if you did a straight up 1-inch spacer, then you could clear like 37 1350s on a leveling kit on a 20 plus truck. We haven't gotten to that part yet. I'm not really sure I'm gonna offer a 1-inch spacer, but you never know. So that's the lineup we have. I'm gonna take off one of the wheels and tires on the back. I'm actually gonna show you guys, which wasn't the point of this video, but hey, if you've stuck around this long, you get to see what I'm putting on here. I got some cool KMC forged wheels, and then I got some 38 1350s. I've never put 38s on this truck, so I'm a little scared. And it's getting dark out, and well, I have to drive home. This is my ride, unless I want to get an Uber. But yeah, I'm gonna fit some 38 1350 Toyo mud terrains on here, so I'm kind of excited to see what that does. But I'm gonna go put that 185 on the back for you guys to show you. In my previous video, if you guys have not gotten to this video from the first one, go to my channel, go all the way down. You'll see where I put down the 3/8 spacer, the 1.35, and the 2-inch on my truck. I was gonna do that for you guys today, but there's so many pictures now on our Instagram, so it's at Scovel Motorsports, all one word. Go there and you'll see that continuously. And you guys that are watching that buy from me, please send me the photos. I need them. I need photos, videos, everything. I want to know what leveling kits you have. I want to know, you know, what exact wheels, tires, everything. The more info, the better, because the guys are looking for inspiration, just like you. So we're going to help us all out in this community. But every time you guys send me something, I'm trying to be really good about it. I save the photos. I ask for all the info. I'll tag you if you want to be tagged. And then I'll post it up right there so you guys can see, hey, that guy has a Cognito leveling kit, these tires, does it rub, yes or no? And then just give you more inspiration, like what can you do, right? So anyways, I think I've covered a lot of this. I tried not to ramble on. I have filmed this probably 30 times now tonight. My mouth is dry. So let me set the camera down, and I'm gonna go put my new wheel and tire on there. I'm gonna jump to the back side of the truck, and I'm gonna mount that other guy up, and I'm gonna go over my notes and make sure that I didn't miss anything else to tell you guys as far as fitment goes. But these other bigger spacers and stuff, I mean, you could do any of these sizes. And I'm talking in regards to fitment of 3 places of UCA, frame, and sway bar. But if you go down to our exterior parts section, something else to talk about when it comes to tire fitment, we have something that does our fender tieback kit from Cognito, which would go here in the fender liner. And I don't have that on this truck right now. Then there's the Kelderman caps here. So these little caps that go on here help for a lot more clearance. And they replace your mud flap that went this whole entire distance. That gives you a ton of clearance. You trim a little bit of metal behind it, but now it gives you a nice clean OEM look, but gives you some more room there. And then we make our own bumper spacers, which I have another video on that I'm gonna be dropping very soon. I actually filmed that a long time ago. Haven't edited it yet. But it'll push this out 3/4 of an inch so you don't have to trim stuff like this or trim it as much. So you're gonna run into issues where you trim this. You're gonna run into issues possibly where you trim this, and then you're gonna run into issues where you may have to tie this back or tie the front back, right? So you may have to tie one of those back. So that's it, but you may have to run into those, you may not. 37 1250s, Cognito leveling kit, 0.65 spacers. You may be very minimal trimming. It just depends on the tire, depends how much you crank those torsion keys up. That is dependent on the installer. It's a tight fit, but it works. And it's not something where you're gonna hack your truck up at all, but everybody's got a different story. And these are adjustable by the torsion keys, guys. So, I mean, there's too many variables, but for the most part, you're seeing it. Like 99% of guys are running 37s on their leveling kits on these trucks with no issues at all. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna jump over to the back side of the truck now, and then we'll go from there. Don't be peeking at my front wheels and tires. All right, so here is the rear. And look at that. Flush. So on these trucks right here, you can see that 1.85 front and rear is plenty. And the reason that there's a thin lip, we're allowed to be hub centric in the back also, just so you don't have to buy separate spacers for front and rear. That's why we do hub-centric front and rear. So that's what I want to show you guys. The other sizes, you already get it. The 165s, they're gonna have these just sticking out just a little bit. Some of the things you guys talk about to kind of hit on some of these last points. I'm gonna bring up my notes in front of me. I could do this in live time here. You guys have bared with me this long. So I put some questions down. Why do guys do larger spacers front and rear? So point being, I think I hit on this earlier, is that when you do a leveling kit, you can get a floor jack and mimic this, okay? Your truck doesn't need to have a leveling kit for you to understand and get a measurement. So go to your fender gap here, measure here to the floor, measure here to the tire, doesn't matter. Get a measurement. Grab your floor jack, jack it up like 2 inches, okay? You're gonna get a decent idea. I mean, your new upper control arms and your leveling kit are gonna correct the geometry, and your tire's not gonna wanna dip in as much. It's a longer arm with more caster and camber built in. So it's gonna straighten everything out, right? So reason I'm saying that is you can go get a tape measure and literally lay it side to side, and you could see how much you're gonna lose. I've thought about doing that in a video, but I feel like it could be kind of misleading because I don't have a leveled truck, and I'd rather have a leveled truck here to do that. I'll tell you that there's a lot of pictures on our Instagram where guys are doing like 165s and a 135 rear, 185s and a 135 rear, pretty common actually. So if that bugs you, I would say go for it. So Gen 1 to Gen 2 lug nuts, explain that. You guys are looking at probably my terrible hairline. Covered just about everything. I get a lot of guys, yeah, I've covered everything except for this one last thing. They're saying, you know, some people will be like, spacers, they'll ruin your hubs and they'll ruin this and ruin that because the offset puts so much stress on your drive line and suspension. There's 2-piece wheels on the market. Your dually trucks have a giant adapter in the front. It getting kicked out this much doesn't make any difference. When you're getting into like negative 91 offset wheels, which is like insane, and they're 14, 16 wides, yeah, you could run into that. Those guys are also driving their trucks a little differently than we are, and probably not as much because it's not a workhorse. Those guys are probably going through wheel bearings a lot more. A lot bigger tire. I mean, it's a wider tire. There's a lot more leverage. But in what we're doing, our biggest 2-inch spacer is the same as like a 20x9 zero offset wheel on a 35 1250 or something, or 37. And there's not a single person there, not one. I have not met one person that says that aftermarket wheel is going to ruin your hub bearings, your wheel bearings. No one says it, but it's the same amount of stress, and the wheel and tire is in the same position. It's just not utilizing a spacer to do it. Instead, that spacer there's a giant back pad on that wheel itself, or the offset and everything's kind of built into there too. But you'll see there's the wheels, they have like 2 different offset options, like a plus 18 and a negative 12 in that same wheel, instead of them changing the lip on some of them. I'm trying to think of the last set of wheels that did this. I think my Black Rhinos, there was just a giant pad on my negative 12s. I ran the Arsenal wheels twice. I ran them in the negative offset when I first got the truck for SEMA, and then I ran them in a positive offset recently, and I noticed that section was gone. So anyways, it doesn't do anything. You're not gonna start going through wheel bearings like all crazy with these. These are one shot, one stop, you know, go, and just don't worry about it. The only thing that I could say may be an issue, 2 things: letting the guys over tighten them or not tighten them enough. If they're just loose and flapping down the highway, well, you're gonna break a stud. Just put them to 140 foot-pounds and check them every 5,000 to 10,000 miles. So yeah, there's gonna be rare cases of that, where you're gonna break wheel studs. If you do a 135 or a 1.4 and a 165 and you don't trim, but you needed to trim, like we addressed earlier in the video, you're gonna have issues. Don't do that, please. That's why I'm gonna send this link, this video, to everybody that asks for those spacers. Those 2 are the only, I wouldn't say problematic, because it's maybe 1% of the time and it hasn't happened in a long time recently, but you guys, come on, please don't do that. So if you're taking them to a tire shop to do a tire rotation and you can't do it yourself, tell them, do it by hand. I don't want the ugga-duggas. I don't want the impacts. Put it on by hand. I'll pay extra. Don't break my spacers. So that's all I would say. Those are going to be the things I would say to look out for. I think I covered everything in this video. I sure hope I did. It could be a long one. I don't know. This might be a 20-minute long video. But that's all I got for you guys. The only thing I'm going to drop in here next is, yeah, I'm going to throw on the other 2 wheels and tires on the back. And I'm going to try and give you guys a little visual of what I decided to put on the truck. I haven't trimmed the wheel and tire yet. I haven't even put them all on yet. I'm hoping I don't have any issues, but it doesn't matter. I know it's doable, and I'm probably just going to have to trim just a little bit more, worst case scenario. But I got 38s on a 4-inch Cognito back here. Tell me down below if you guys want me to do a video and do a whole walk around of the truck. These are obviously going on today. Truck has like 9,000 miles, and this is like my 5th or 6th set of tires. So you guys have seen a lot of wheels and tires on here. And I try a lot of them because I want to see what fits and what doesn't fit and give you guys some feedback. And I also got an RDS transfer tank with a toolbox combo in the bed. I just threw a tie down on it last night. Dude, countless things this truck has. I want to show it off to you guys, tell you guys what I really think of it and whether it's worth the money or not. Anyways, if you guys want to see some videos like that, let me know. If you got all the way to the end of this, thank you very much. I really wanted to put this information out there for you guys. So whoever is asking doesn't need to keep asking me every single day. Now you have a good idea of fitment. We do have 2-inch dually spacers in stock. For these, we carry a lot of John Deere tractor spacers from BORA, your Dodge, your Ford. We didn't touch base on this in this video. I got 0.65 Gen 2s right here for the 1500 Duramax trucks or Chevy Silverado, whatever. The 6 on 5.5, 6 by 139.7. Okay, I have those here. They take that same ET lug nut on the Silverado Sierra trucks. And then same thing, I got a 3/8 0.375 spacer. Same thing for the 1500 trucks. So if you guys got the 1500 trucks, I have those on the website. You guys can get the same big ET lug nuts on those trucks also, just in a 6 lug version of the 8. There's countless other options I have. If there's spacers that you want at all and you don't see it on the website, reach out to me. It's going to be much faster and better, and I will ask you all the right questions to make sure it fits. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I hope you hung in there with me. Don't beat me up too much. I'm not a pro YouTuber, but I try to bring you guys the information and bring it to you raw and real. I don't sugarcoat anything, and what you guys see is what you guys get. You guys are getting a premium product. I'm stocking it. I'm making a big commitment to you guys. That way you guys can run your OEM wheels and tires and stop struggling like you guys did for so many years to find a solution. So that's it. You guys take care. Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe. I can't say that enough. A lot of guys will say that. I need you guys to subscribe. We need to get that subscriber count up. I think like 90% of you guys don't subscribe, and just click the button for me. I don't care what you do. Just click it. Click it, please. See you guys later. Last thing I'm going to do, show you guys the wheels and tires.